How are you?
I'm so good. I'm really great.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have you. I'm happy you made it in. I was worried about you for a while.
Yeah.
You got caught on the border or something like that.
Well,
did you?
it was fine going. And people were so amazing and so friendly coming across the border. We had just an amazing, easy transition, and then just got stuck in traffic.
Like a Canadian traffic, man. There's nothing you can do about it, you know? You know what? I was almost late, too.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they would have done.
Yeah.
If me and you had made it.
Yeah, we could have been a little bit more. It would have been very calm.
Yeah, we could have met on somewhere on the Gardner and just played a couple of songs together. It wouldn't have been so bad. So I want to talk to you about a couple of things. First off, I want to talk about the changes in this record, which I kind of hinted at when I was introducing you a little bit. One of which is that you enlisted a good friend of yours, a former guest of ours, and one of my favorite songwriters, Jason Isbell, to produce your record. I didn't know he produced records.
Well, he doesn't really. I think this is the second one he's ever done, and it was and when I had the idea, it was very it felt like it felt like a lightning strike, but at the same time, it was one of those ideas where I thought, well, that of course this is a really cool idea, but there's we're going to run up against reality here. Jason's a very busy guy. He's got he's playing all the time. I'm playing all the time. How are we going to make it work? But he really wanted to make it work, So I think the opportunity for both of us is something that we both kind of needed, was the chance to do something that we weren't totally comfortable with and that we were going to be thinking about in our as we were going to bed at night, that kind of project that kind of just gets in your head and won't let you rest. And
there's stakes, right? There's stakes for the both of you, right?
Well, but like in a way, I feel like both of us have a great situation in that we're allowed to be explorers. We're allowed to like go off and try new ideas, and that's like the really thing that I think the thing more and more over time and my career, the thing that I feel like that I've fought for in the end is the chance to have new ideas and to take chances, and that's what people are giving you the opportunity to do. They're coming to shows and they're paying money and they're giving you the opportunity to go off and take chances, and that's your job.
But it's rare. I mean, not every musician that's their mandate from their audience. I know that's kind of a political way to put it. You know what I mean? But some artists would have fans who would say, "Listen, just keep doing the thing.
Yeah,
we're happy. Play those 4 songs. We're going to be good."
And I think that's great. I mean, I feel that those for the decisions that anybody makes regarding their own like the artistic relationship with themselves are so personal that for me, I've always felt like a little afraid of getting stuck and not knowing it. You don't want to be the boring guy at the party who's talking and people are too nice.
We've heard those stories before.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of guy. Yeah.
And so I've always been afraid of overstaying my welcome in that way. But I love to I think Jason is the same. Like, love to keep this moving forward and trying to keep on surprising yourself is the tough.
What does that do to you? Like when because you've used the word afraid and used the word fear like 3 or 4 times so far right now. So it sounds like a motivator, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, you spend so much time convincing yourself that you got a lot of like room up in your head to like go and look around and find new ideas and really in the end, like, being an artist, I think that your job is to forget about all the things that could go wrong, and look forward to the things that are going to be fun and exciting and may go right, and really, like, what else is art in the end but like a chance to fail or succeed publicly. And
you got to be comfortable with the idea that it could go the other way.
Yeah, for sure.
So I will say it didn't. It's a really lovely album.
Thank you.
I'm quite fond of it. And so I'll give you the backstory here. Essentially, Josh has made. Let me see if I get this right. Like, Josh has made your past few records with the same band or in the same sort of configuration. And in this case, you go to Nashville, Tennessee. You sit down with Jason Isbell, who's another incredible songwriter.
Yeah.
You sit with his band, the 400 Unit, and you make. You make music with them. So what does that do to you, to walk into start recording with a band you've never toured with before, you don't necessarily have a previous
Yeah.
relationship with before? What does that do to you?
Well, it's really strange, and I never experienced it. I for 20 years I've made records with basically the same group of people, and it's been fantastic. And like they're incredibly creative people, and we've learned to speak kind of almost telepathically on stage. Playing music for so long, and so when I decided I needed to really switch things up for myself, I didn't realize walking into the studio with the 400 unit and everything that I was going to walk in feeling like I really had no idea what was going to happen. I didn't have the relationships with the musicians that were personal and then went back many years, and I didn't have they were learning the songs for the first time. I thought like, how these are my songs, like, are we ever going to be able to like turn them into something that's brand new and
did you have a real moment of doubt,
I did, because I was worried. I hadn't really fully taken on how reliant I was on the people around me in terms of where things were going to go and where the songs were going to go. I had really good ideas writing songs about where the different people in my band could take the parts that I was working on, and I didn't have that experience with the 400 unit, or I knew that they were a great band, and I'd seen them and I'd gotten to hang out with them and play music and be around them, but I didn't know what they were going to be able to do to turn I didn't know whether my songs were going to be my songs, in the end, and it was. So that was, and when you're a songwriter and songs are what you do, that's a scary thing to think of giving up. A couple like years of work, and would they translate? And so that was it was really. When I in my like nighttime hours, I would get nervous about that.
When did you know it was going to start to work out?
It happened really immediately when we sat down and we played the first song, "Ground Don't Want Me," which is one of the earlier ones that I'd been working on, and one of the first that I played for Jason when I was talking about making this record, and it was It was amazing to feel suddenly this band kind of swoop in around me like a flock of birds and just carry the thing off. It was incredible.
If you're just tuning in, I'm speaking with Josh Ritter. He's here live in the studio. He'll be performing another song from his great new record, Fever Breaks, in just a second. But, I've been a fan of your music ever since I had an old roommate in St. John's in Newfoundland who had a bunch of your records and he used to play them for me around the house. And we used to listen to them and we were big fans. But it kind of felt like we were part of a club, and not just of your music, but like there wasn't as many of us who were super into like very lyrical, maybe metaphor-laden, poetic singer-songwriters, for better use of a better term, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, I mean, you see Casey Musgraves winning Album of the Year, Brandy Carlisle doing so well, Jason Isbell, who produced your record. I know it's interesting to ask you this because I still feel like you're still new.
Yeah.
But 20 years into this thing, does it feel like it's a good time to be making the kind of music you make?
Yeah, it is. And not only that, it's happened. I've seen it happen over several times in my career that there have been crests of waves, and they've happened all over. I think the first time I experienced that was in Ireland when I first got started. I started playing over in Ireland a lot with bands like The Frames and Damien Rice and
The Frames Glenn Hansard's band. That was right.
And Swell Season, and to see see a community groundswell lift like some music, and so that more people could hear it. And I've seen that happen a number of times, and it's always when the rising tide lifts all boats is so true. It's so exciting to see so many people like with sometimes difficult songs like find some real like appreciation in a wide audience. It's really incredible.
I'm trying not to do that public radio overthinking thing.
Yeah.
But I'm also wondering, like, if there says something about our society right now that maybe we craved a challenging song, or we crave to think more deeply about the societies that we're living in.
I hope so. I think that's like, it's like there's certainly, when making this record, I really wanted it to be a reflection of the world around us at the moment, and I thought that would be a good way to like to choose the songs and to think about them hanging together, and really like looking at the world today. It's hard to look away and write introspective
Love songs.
numbers. Yeah,
right.
yeah. There is so much out there right in our face that to be described and to be contextualized.
Well, tell me more about that, because I think on this record I'm hearing more and more. I don't want to use the word political because I think that's a loaded word, but we might say political songs. We might say, songs that address our society right now.
Yeah.
Like, tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what were you paying attention to that you wanted to address here?
Well, I thought, I sometimes the temptation with making a record is to find a theme and write songs to a theme, and I think that's one way of doing stuff, and people have like success in their art doing that at times. But I found that if I wanted to like kind of look closely at the world, what I needed to do is look at it like you sometimes look at starlight, which is that you pick up those pinpricks of light at the corner of your eyes, not when you look directly at it, and that these all the stuff that's in our view right now is sometimes is so very real and in our face that sometimes we just don't see it, and there are things going on in the States right now that are horrific and are it's strangely easy, I feel like, to let it all wash over you. But if you look at one little detail, if you look at family separation, it's all you see.
Right.
Yeah, and I think I wanted to let some of that into the record.
And is that I want to go back to this idea of risk and fear a little bit, but is that a risk as well then? Because it's not something I have associated with your music in the past necessarily.
Well, I don't want songs that, and I think it's a waste of time and boring to use songs to try and educate, because I'm a songwriter. I don't know anything more than anybody else. But what I want to do is frame the question in a new way.
Yeah.
That's like, for myself, like that's the important part. And songs, when they get heavy-handed and educational, they lose, I feel, their power.
Yeah, maybe so, hey?
Yeah.
I know we're both fans of John Prine,
Yeah.
the great songwriter John Prine, and I've always loved that Bob Dylan described him as some sort of philosopher.
Yeah.
Like, not as some sort of teacher.
No.
But he just gives you other ideas by which to live your life.
Well, I think that's so true. When I find musicians and songs that I grab hold of, it's they're not because the singer is in my it's because the song is foremost in my head, and that's so cool to sing a song and get out of the way of it. And John Prine does that amazing.
Does he ever? Hey?
Yeah,
he's something else. Did you get to see him when you were in Nashville? Because he's down there, right?
Yeah. I know him a bit from touring with him, but I didn't.
You did Mexican Home, right? You did one of his songs, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love that song. Yeah.
I'll come over and do it. No, I'm only do it. But I do want to point out on the topic of political songs, and you made this record. So you were in Tennessee.
Yeah.
You finished this record on the night of the midterms.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, it was weird. It was we got up in the morning, and you go into the studio, and it's a very you once you're inside the studio, you don't know if it's day or night or what season it is. It's a very it's like being on a submarine, and so the whole world was going on outside while we were working, and it was hard to ignore and feel that something wasn't hanging in the balance that day.
Right.
And it was an amazing day to be recording, because I definitely believe that like wine or any other thing that the moment can sink into, like the moment seeps into that song that we were working on, and like it for me, it will always, like this record will always encapsulate that moment of working away while this election was going on.
I mean, it's interesting too, because it's, to some in the United States, I guess, depending on your political affiliation, but I'm assuming you're on the blue side of things or the Democrat side of things. I know it's a pretty safe assumption. For some Democrats, it was a really positive night, because I think things had gone their way in the U.S. midterms. However, you were in Tennessee, where there was great hope that maybe the state would be flipped and go red. Yeah, and would go blue,
Yeah.
and then didn't. So I'm guessing you experienced the midterms in a very different way by being in a southern state as well, right?
Yeah. I grew up in Idaho, which is very conservative, and then now I live in New York, which is very liberal, and to get to spend some time in places that are outside of your own ideological kind of bubble is very interesting, because it's so different, and it makes you wonder about so many assumptions that you have, And one of the great things that I feel very lucky about is traveling around the country, and seeing how it's all stitched together, and seeing that we're all not that different. We just sort of, we live in these bubbles that we can get out of, but are very secure when we're in.
Yeah, and your state is often referred to, again, I'm a Canadian looking in, but like I see your state is referred to as like a flyover state and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it just seems impossible to me. Like, there's people living there, for God's sake, I mean, and sometimes, economically marginalized people living in these places. I mean,
and people have, it's an incredibly, it's an amazing time to be traveling. And the conversations going on are just, are so important and so wild, and I'm really glad we're having these conversations right now, and that we have these candidates and such a wide range of people to like look at and vet and choose from.
So, like, do you see? I don't want to use the word responsibility here, but I think that music can offer something, as you said, maybe not necessarily an education, maybe not a vote this on this bill, or vote this person out kind of thing, but it can enrich people's experiences and enrich people's humanity, and maybe provide empathy or something like that.
Yeah, I think that in the end, like, really, like, music is just a reminder that we're human, and that we're like, there are few experiences like being in a room with a bunch of people and taking part in music. I mean, we even when it like that's something that politics doesn't have to like take away from us. Is this, and I think about all the various like religious like traditions all around the world, and all the ways that we kind of come together as people, and music is always there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. It's nice to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a little bizarre to talk to you. I've been trying to figure out whether I was going to tell this story or not, but I guess now that I've started, I guess I am. I used to have really intense anxiety and panic attacks, right? I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that, but I thought I was going to die all the time. That kind of thing, especially on planes. When a plane would start descending, I'd be like, well, this is it. This is all the end. And I would say, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, well, it's been a good run.
Yeah.
we had a good time, and I think I've done all right. I mean, I'm not going to call that person back, but everything's okay.
Yeah.
And I used to listen to one of your songs. I used to listen to one of your songs on the way down. I was like, you know what? If this is all it, this is the one. This is the one I'm going to do.
That's amazing.
So I wanted to tell you that. So thanks for allaying my fears all those years. I used to listen to Right Moves from the.
That is so
record.
incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you've made it safe to ground.
Yeah, me too.